Today I'm revisiting the home of Jane and Alan Francis. We're extending their home by creating an extra room over the garage in order for their daughter Tracy and her family to live with them comfortably. And it seems I'm just in time to help with the unloading. This ambitious build has moved on a lot since I was last here, and because I got to work so early, I thought I'd join Tracy and Jane for a spot of sun worshipping. Good morning, ladies.
Tommy.
Well, I tell you what, this looks a bit different to the last time I was here. It's so big, isn't it? Now, this, if I remember rightly, this bedroom was for Emily. Emily's your little daughter, isn't it?
Little granddaughter.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge room. Is it still going to be for Emily?
Yeah. Bit of a fight over it, but...
Between who?
Between
all of us.
Nanny and Grandad, Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be for Emily?
Still Emily, yeah.
Okay. Have you decided what you're going to do inside? You're going to put, what sort of finish you're going to put on the floor? Carpets or...?
Well, we want Emily like laminate flooring. Yeah.
Laminate flooring. Well, that's good for kids, you know, because with carpets and that, there's a problem sometimes with dust mites, and you ain't going to get that with a laminate floor. Right, well, I'm going to go down and find Dave and find out what he wants me to help him with today.
Right.
And I'm going to check over the work he's done so far. Yeah?
Yeah.
Shall I do that? And I'll report back to you later.
Right, do
Thanks,
that.
Tommy.
Do you know what would be nice, though?
A cup of tea.
Well, thanks for offering. I'm glad I didn't have to ask for that. The build is taking place over the old garage, which has been half demolished, with the new walls tied into the existing. This has created a wonderful space for Emily's new room. Last time I was on site, I helped with some of the block work. Since then, things have really come on, and the builder David has brought the building up to the second story, fixed the joists for the floor, and begun the roof. I was here to help with laying a new floor and maybe spend a night on the tiles. Hello, David. How are you?
Hi, Tommy.
You all right?
Yeah.
David, God, this has changed a bit since I was last here.
It has a bit, hasn't it? Yeah.
It looks great. So, I'm here for the day, so what's your next job?
Right, first thing to do is we'll be laying in a 13-amp cable all the way around here, put 4 double sockets in, followed by putting this floor decking down.
All right, well, I've got my tools now, so I'll go and get them and bring them up and we'll make a start. But, you know, you could have put the windows in, mate. It's a bit chilly with them windows
It's nice to
open.
have some fresh air down here in Devon, you know.
Before we could start laying the cable, we had to make some holes through the joists to accommodate the cable. And the joists David's using are just a little bit different. Normally, you use a 2-inch thick timber, whether it be 6 inches deep, 7, 8 or 9 inches deep, whatever the span is. But these are very thin. And they seem to be very flimsy, but apparently when they're in situ, they're very strong. So how do you determine what size joists you need for the room and how wide apart they should be, what centres they are?
What I needed to do was send the size of the room to the manufacturers, and they sort out the whole design on their computer program.
And looking at the way these are constructed, I should imagine there's very little waste, because they look like they're made up of waste material.
There's very little waste. In fact, these use a lot of timber that would normally be discarded anyway, and also they use 2/3 less in a joist like this to a comparable wooden joist. So you're saving like 2 out of 3 trees as well.
The joists also have preformed knockouts that do away with the need to drill when installing cable or pipes. We are laying cable to form a new ring main. The principle behind it is that you feed the cable through and up into the socket, and then you loop it down, and that goes on towards the next socket. So you leave a bit like that. And then, of course, we cut this afterwards, put the socket on the wall, and then wire this into the socket. And you get this continuous chain coming in, going right the way around the room, and back to the consumer unit.
OK.
That's that.
We can
Rather
do
than
that.
doing it all in one. Oh, we're going to cut this with hands, all right. Now it's ready for the sparks, just to connect it all up. So, what happens if you want to extend your house, but you don't know which bricks to use? Well, we've come to Wellington in Somerset with brick matching expert John Brooks to find out.
So we've been asked to come out to Wellington today because the clients are looking to put an extension on this house. We're going to look at the brick match. This is the brick we got to match. As you can see, it's a smooth orangey more than red. The distincting features in this, we got these particular bar marks here, which we need to get right. So hopefully we can match this brick and make it look a good job.
But with brick matching, like all building, it's not always a simple process.
What we're trying to avoid here is an extension that was done by the previous owners. You can see here that they've used what we call a Class B engineering brick, totally unsuitable for this extension. What we're trying to get here is an orange brick, as I said earlier on, a smooth brick. This is what we're trying to achieve, not this.
So for the perfect match, it's off to John's library in Exeter.
Well, this is our brick library. We use this both as a showroom and a point of reference when we've come back from the site. We can look at the various bricks we've got here and obviously try and find the right one for the brick match.
Bricks come in many different colours, styles and textures. At this factory in Exeter, we can see the different processes of making bricks, including traditional handmade and wire-cut bricks. Once John gets his samples back to the library, that's where the search begins.
What we have here are different types of bricks. These are handmade bricks. Now, you can tell that by the texture. What we always leave is the way to see them laid right is that they're smiling. Then we have the wire-cut bricks, these two here, and the stock brick. I suppose for a handmade brick, you could be paying up to £500 a thousand. Whereas a wire cut, you could be paying 200, maybe even £180 a thousand. So those are the two kind of areas that you've got to consider on prices.
So out of all these brick samples, will John be able to find the perfect match?
This is the storeroom where we keep all our various sample panels. What we're hoping to find in here, of course, is the right panel for the job in Wellington. So what we've got to now is try and find that particular panel. That's what we're looking for. As you can see on here, it's a smooth, not too red, bit more orange on it. Got the characteristics of the bar markings here, and I think that's going to be absolutely right for the extension.
So the bricks were ordered, and 2 weeks later, back in Wellington, the extension could begin. Lovely. Now, this is the flooring that we're going to use. This is for a subfloor. Now, this is moisture-resistant, tongue and groove chipboard, and it comes in sheets of 8 foot by 2 foot. Tongue and grooved all round, so it slots in. It's easy to fit. Now, the room's 14 foot wide, so that's 7 foot. Mark that as the centre. And then we'll have to mark the centre of the board and we know where he goes. But a very important tip, which you haven't done, David, is to mark on the wall the centre of the joist. So that's the centre there. That's the centre there. And your ones, because if you don't, when you put the board down, you won't be able to remember exactly where the joist is. The centre of the board now sits in the centre of the room. This minimises waste. That's it. Now, you may be tempted to push the board right up against the wall. Not a good idea. Always leave a small gap all the way around the floor for expansion. 10 to 15 mil. OK, let's pull it off a bit. We then marked up and cut the 2 boards that sit equally either side of the middle section. So you're just going to butt this to the wall.
Yeah.
Cut that one in.
Yeah.
And then use the off-cut to start again.
Yeah.
No waste.
No waste. Much like me.
I wish I could say the same thing, dear. Lovely. Well, that's the unique thing about this tongue and groove flooring. There's no waste at all. Because you can have a joint there, it doesn't have to actually match on top of a joist. It can come in the middle of the void area. And because it's tongued and grooved, it slots in and that supports it. But it does leave a weakness on this front edge. So when you put in the next sheet, you've got to make sure that you bridge the joint, like we've done here. And the groove in this sheet holds up the tongue in those two. And that makes the whole thing as solid as a rock. Next one, please, David. Right, well, that's a chalk line marked out. That tells me where the joist is underneath the flooring. So all I have to do is nail it down. They don't call me Tommy Two Guns for nothing. Right, it's the very last board. So what you might say, putting a lid on it effectively. Or effectively putting a lid on it.
That's better.
Right, let's get it down. So that's the flooring finished. Join us soon when we're on the roof, adding the battens and matching in the new tiles to the old. Welcome back. Today I'm helping out a garage extension that belongs to Jane Francis. It's going well and builder David Cogger has already fitted the main roof structure. We're just about to start tiling, but before that we're adding some extra support. And the purpose of these straps, you just put raw plugs into the blockwork or the brickwork and screw through these straps into the plugs with ordinary screws. And the idea is actually, once the roof structure's got tiles or slates on it, you'll add the weight on. And these tie the whole roof together. This is the wall plate and the rafters, the trusses up the top. And it's screwed to the brickwork. So when you put the weight on, it can't force the roof down and force the brickwork out. It just ties everything together, makes it nice and solid. There you go, solid as a rock. And that's all concealed behind the plaster. Oh, that's handy, yeah. Here you go, these two of these straps here, they're actually built through the brickwork of the gable wall, this flank wall here, and these go through and they're connected to the underside of the rafters. So both sides are strapped to this wall, just for extra strength. This is the felt, the underfelt of a roof. Now, we've always used underfelt. We used to use stuff called sarking felt, which is a bitumen-based felt, but it was quite fragile, and it used to rot after a certain amount of time. And then someone decided to make like a plastic felt, which had, it was inlaid with stronger pieces of plastic, which was really strong, and it used to last forever. But because it didn't breathe, it used to sweat and create condensation problems and damp problems within the roof. So that was dumped to put to one side, and then I started using sarking felt again. And then some clever person invented this gear. It allows air to breathe through it, but doesn't allow water to penetrate through it the other way. Now, don't ask me how that works. It's too scientific for me, but it is a marvellous bit of gear. Because in the old days, you used to have to put these ugly vents all over the roof, which would allow the roof to breathe. Because once you insulate it, you have to allow it to vent. But with this stuff, you don't need those expensive, ugly vents, because this allows the roof to breathe as much as you need it to. The next step is to put the battens on the roof, which are going to hold the tiles and also hold this felt down. Now, what we've done first of all is snap the chalk line right the way through to give us a guide to where the battens go. And this chalk line follows the original line of the battens on the original roof. So we're just going to continue through so it will match in. So we'll put the mark, bring this into position, and we're going to go, is it below this line, David?
Below this line, yeah. Okay.
Right, and these are proper roof battens, and these are pressure treated so that they won't rot for at least, I would say, 150 years, something like that. Well, if it's any sooner than that, don't complain to me because I won't be here.
It's poetry in motion, isn't it?
You wouldn't think a person my size could be so agile, would you? And one more there.
Yeah, I got it. But let's keep going, keep going, keep going.
Right, I'm going to have to come round and climb up there now. Well, that's handy, because that's still past the line. Now, you may wonder why these are sticking right out here, other than to create a bit of a hazard. It's far easier to have them over long, and then once we've got the tiles on, to cut them back to size, rather than try and guess it and be wrong.
I have to admit, I wasn't built for roofing.
But I hope I'm that agile when I'm his age.
You'll be very lucky to make it till tomorrow if you keep talking like that. Well, after that, it's time for rest and relaxation and a little bit of inspiration. And where better to go than Widdicombe in the Moor and this beautiful meditation hall extension. This is Franklin Sills, who runs the Karuna Institute for Meditation and Study. He decided a couple of years ago that the Institute needed a hall designed for both meditation sessions and group lectures.
The ambience we were looking for was a space that could hold a quality of attention and stillness. We kind of wanted to feel like a meditation hall, a space where people can settle in, that could hold the stillness, that had a certain quality that actually brought that out.
The clients were extremely good, and they'd been giving the whole requirement considerable thought, and they've been thinking about what they needed for a long time. And were able to give us a really clear and specific brief of the physical requirements, as well as an emotional indication of the feeling that the building was to have. I mean, in fact, the form of this building, the external form of the building, is not untraditional. It could be more or less any English building that's been done over the last 300-400 years, and we just interpreted it in a slightly more minimalist way, partly in order to achieve cost, and partly in order to achieve the sense of openness that we were all trying to achieve here. With our structural engineers, we came upon the notion of building basically a timber frame panel structure, both walls and roof are timber frame panels for cost and speed of erection, and the steel structure holds the whole thing really rigid, as well as giving it a sense of lightness. The roof is slate, that's required by the planning authority, which is the Dartmoor National Park, and the cladding is indigenous timber, locally sourced Douglas fir, so it's all as ecological as one could do it.
The space itself has been more than we have imagined, actually, and it's been a wonderful holding space. And the students who come are just amazed by the stillness and the quality of the space itself. So we're very happy with it.
Franklin can smile even more as he kept to the proposed budget of 120 grand. We're just talking to some of the neighbours. This is Dave's wife. She's the one who rules the roost. And this is his son. What's your son's name?
Sam.
Sam, and your wife's name?
Rebecca.
And baby to be mentioned. Baby got a name?
Well, we were going to call it Tommy if it was a boy, obviously.
Okay, I feel a paternity suit coming on. Well, until our little builder turns up, we had to rely on Dave's mate Kev to give us a hand with the tiles, although our last batten was causing us problems. What normally happens, let me explain, what normally happens here, on this last layer of tiles, you'd normally have a double batten, so that as the tile comes down, the double batten kicks it up and keeps it level. Because if you don't have a double batten, as the tile comes down, it just lays down a little bit. But they haven't done that on the original roof, so we've got to really follow what they've done on the original roof. Let's see. See the... You're not... If this was double, look, I'll show you. If we had two lengths, as David pointed out, that would be up there, and that would be more or less in line. But because they've only got one, so well, that's not right, see, when that kicks up. We eventually reached a compromise position where we used a double batten for most of the roof and then planed down to join the old section. There's nothing to actually laying these, really. I mean, all there is a couple of nibs, OK? And you hook them over the batten and you work from the right to the left till you finish, see? That's it. And then the next one goes on top. But, as usual, it's never quite that straightforward because we had to work from left to right. The reason for working in this fashion is because you have to work from the old roof outwards so as not to have any cut tiles on the join. It's a nice bit of tiling, and I think it's about time for me now to go and have a night on the tiles. Where are them girls? I'm sorry to disturb you, ladies. Yes, while you're sitting there sunning yourself. But would you like to come up here and see what we've done? Because you haven't seen it, have you?
No, not yet.
Come on. I had to call you up here to see this. Let me give you a hand. Give us your hand. Give us your hand, my love. That's it. You're up now.
Wow.
Trace, go and have a look. I wanted you to see the sort of size of room we created. Now, you said to me, Jane, this morning, it was 5 square metres, didn't you? Well, actually, it's 5 by 5. It's 25 square metres, which is a lovely sized bedroom. And you want to see the aspect, the views. Come and have a look. I mean, here you've got the beautiful view of the hills up there. See how fabulous it is?
Yeah.
Rolling hills. This is my creative, artistic part coming out, you know? This is the author in me. And then, of course, over this side, look. How comes every aspect there is always a church down here? There's always a church spire. On the roof conversion we done, church spire here. Church spire one side, hills the other. These views are as common as muck down here, I tell you. I can't wait, you know, to get back to see some tower blocks and some fumes and all that, you see. Yeah. Do you think I made them work a bit quicker, me being here?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Don't tell them that, will you?
No. Of course I will. Only when I'm halfway down the road. Well, it's been lovely seeing you again, and I'll see you again before it's finished.
OK, thanks.
But if that David gives you any trouble, you just phone me up, all right?
Will do. Yeah, will do.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Join me again on this project when we will be making an entrance, closing a window and finally rendering a conclusion to the build. That's if I ever can get out of here. I'd never make Father Christmas, that's for sure. See you later.